one of those myths to give you an idea is fees don't matter, or it's only 1%. That's what everybody says.
Right.
And I go through and show you systematically what it means. If you pay 1%, a real 1%, which almost nobody does, versus 2 versus 3, you can have 3 people, they start at the same age, they put in the same amount of money, they invest in the same stocks, same bonds, same mutual funds, and 30 years later, they show up and one's got 77% more money. They start out with $1 million, they got 7 million, the other guy's got 4. If it's $100,000, 700,000 versus 4. The amount of money difference of those fees. And if I said to you, Brendan, here's the deal, I want you to make an investment with me, here's how it's gonna work. I want you to give me your money, you're gonna put up all the money, you're gonna take all the risks. If it loses money, if it loses everything, you lose everything.
There's no consequence here.
Yeah, no, you put up all the money, take all the risk, you take all the losses. But if you make money, and even if you don't make money, I get paid.
Right.
And I get, over the course of your lifetime of investing, 30, 40 years, I'm going to take 60%. Would you make that deal?
Nobody would. But they don't know that they are all day long.
That's right. That is what you do with the average mutual fund today. Because the average mutual fund with Forbes is 3.1%. If you're in a 401k, instead of saving money, many times when you add all the other fees, according to Forbes, it's 4.1%. What that does to your ability to ever get financially free is it basically decimates it. And how's that possible? Jack Bogle, the head of Vanguard, taught me this. He said, Tony, watch. Because people don't know. They don't do the math. For every 1% you give away over the course of your lifetime, that's approximately 20% of your total take. So if there's 3% in fees, you gave up 60%. You took the risks, you were on the line, they took no risks, and they're going to take 60% over the lifetime of what you're doing. He said, it's highway robbery. If you really want to have freedom, then what you have to do is you've got to take that percentage aside like Theodore Johnson did, and you got to just say, this is for me, this is my freedom. There's a part of what I earn, as basic as it is, we all know this from investing, there's a part of what I earn that is mine and my family's to keep and no one's going to touch it and I'm going to grow it. But I also believe that where you put that really matters. And so indexing is the most basic way to do it for sure. But what all these investors showed me is asset allocation is where the difference is in business, right, in life. If you look at it, the 4th key we talk about in the 4 steps is you got to really understand asset allocation. Because when I was with David Swenson, Dave said, Tony, I said, what are the dials you can move? I mean, there's a limited number of dials you can move to increase your returns, to get to your financial freedom faster. He said, Tony, there's really only 3. He said, you can make a better choice selection of the actual investments or the securities. You can have better timing or you can have better asset allocation. He said, let me give you a clue. The first 2 will never happen. He said, because they cost money if you get them from somebody else and everybody's wrong on timing and everybody's wrong on the stocks. Well, I sat down with the famous Ray Dalio, right?
Right.
And I prepared for 18 hours for that interview because he's a genius and there's not that much on him and I wanted to absorb it all. So I got every little bit of it, sat down with him, and it turned out Ray was a fan of my work, which I was touched by 20 years ago. I guess he listened to my program, so he was very generous with his time. And we spent these 3 hours, and in the 3 hours, when I got to the end, I said to Ray, I said, listen, I really want to help the average person, so I got a question for you. I did this with everyone. I said, if you couldn't give your money to your children, any of it, and all you could do would be give them a portfolio or a set of investment strategies or instructions, and they were going to start over and build it, what would it be? And he said, Tony, I spent a decade figuring that out. All my money's already there. My kids' money is there. My money from philanthropy when I'm gone is there because I'm not going to be here and I want something that'll do well in the future. And I don't know what the future is going to be. Markets are going to always change. I need something that could work in any market. I call it my all-weather fund. Most of us in the business are familiar with it a little bit. And so he explained it to me and I have a good understanding. And I said, I get it. So what you're saying is the reason why, this was obsessed him. Why is it if I have a balanced portfolio in 2008, I got nailed on both sides?
Exactly.
Why did that happen in 2000? Everybody says portfolio theory, this is supposed to protect me, and it didn't work. But he said as soon as things get better, no one talks about it, we just forget about it. It happens again. Happened in 2000, happened in 2008. He said, I figured it out. When you have a 50-50 portfolio,
right,
that's 50-50 of where you put your money in assets. 60-40, 50-50, however you look at balanced portfolio, right? But he said the problem is that's not balanced risk. And this is where people are crazy. I've seen people write things up. They see this in the book and say, Tony Robbins is promoting. First of all, I'm not promoting anything. Every word in this book is from the best investors on earth. Anything that's from me is about the emotions. That I know for 36 years. That's been my expertise. These are their views. But I'll tell you what's amazing. He said, Tony, when you have stocks and bonds half and half, you're not equal because equities are 3 times more volatile. So your risk is 95.5. He said, so that's why people get killed in 2008. And he said, I try to get this through to people. He said, but all of our people handle it. You know, you manage money for countries, the largest, pension funds on earth. He said, but people don't listen. They look at it and go, oh, this is bond heavy. The bond days are over because inflation's going forward. He said, it's not true, Tony. This fund in the 1970s, it was the worst time for bonds, and it was an extraordinary time for all weather because it isn't. It looks overbalanced because in order to get the same level of risk, you have to go for more long-term bonds or you have to use more leverage on the bond side.